If you were wondering how Trump and his team are taking this weekend's No Kings protest, which drew a staggering 7 million people and went off with virtually no violence, here's what he posted on the Truth Social. So, to give you a lay of the land here, 7 million Americans came out in record-setting numbers to protest the sitting president, and Trump's response was to post a video of him dumping literal shit onto protesters, his constituents. Not exactly sure he's beating the fascist allegations by posting AI clips of him shitting on anyone who dares criticize dear leader. Notice, too, that the first image depicts him in the cockpit wearing a crown. In other words, the No Kings protest took place. Trump's mouthpieces all whined up and down about how the left was being hysterical, Trump doesn't view himself as a king, you're all out of your minds, and Trump's like, here is me in a crown using the military to dump sludge on anyone who exercises their First Amendment right by criticizing me. And of course, you've got the usual Trump sycophants who've got their talking points about how if Trump was a king, we wouldn't even be able to march.
Let's start with the No Kings rallies. You called these Hate America rallies. What do you mean by that?
Well, that collection of folks that I listed were certainly part of it. We congratulate them on a apparently violent free speech exercise. I was a First Amendment lawyer for 20 years. We defend that right. But the irony of the message is pretty clear for everyone. If President Trump was a king, the government would be open right now. If President Trump was a king, they would not have been able to engage in that free speech exercise out on the mall, by the way, which was open because President Trump hasn't closed it. In the last shutdown, 2013 era, President Obama closed the National Mall, it closed all the national parks, didn't allow people to engage in all this. So, I mean, they needed a stunt, they needed a show. Chuck Schumer needs cover right now. He's closed the government down because he needs political cover, and this was a part of it.
In other words, because Trump hasn't already usurped full control of the government and completely dismantled democracy, that means he doesn't aspire to be a king. Meaning that despite all the warning signs, everything we've seen with our own eyes, despite him deploying the military illegally into LA and Portland and Chicago, which judges in all three cities blocked, despite him sicking his FCC on the networks to quash criticism, even at the hands of comedians, despite him trying to eliminate birthright citizenship from the Constitution, despite him trying to literally undo the results of a free and fair election and inciting an insurrection to be able to do so, despite all of that, we shouldn't protest until he's 100% of the way there. The irony of which, by the way, is that at that point, it won't be allowed. That is why we are taking to the streets now, because it hasn't fully happened yet, but because Trump is clearly trying to make it happen. Like, I'm sorry, but we all have eyes. We can all see exactly what he's doing. We can see the extent to which he's trying to quash free speech, how he has a secret police force answerable only to him, how he's demanded mid-cycle map redraws to entrench permanent rule in the House, how he's openly suggesting that he'll run again in 2028 in blatant defiance of the Constitution. Remember, it was Trump himself who literally posted this right after the No Kings protest. The Trump team also posted this, and the White House's official account posted this. So if the warning signs aren't all obvious enough, just listen to what Trump and his own mouthpieces are quite literally telling us. In fact, here's Jessica Tarlov putting these bad faith Republican talking points to rest on Fox News.
Sure, they certainly have rounded up some bad hombres, and I think if you attack a police officer, then you should be taken in and also get your due process rights. But we also know there's a ProPublica investigation that more than 170 Americans have been detained by ICE, with 20 held for more than a day without being able to contact their lawyer or a loved one. And that's what the No Kings protest is about. Donald Trump says, I'm not a king. And yeah, we get it. You're not a king. You wish you were a king, and you're running this administration as if you should have those kinds of rights. The lack of respect for the Constitution and the laws of this country are astounding. And Trump even told Kristen Welker when he was on Meet the Press a few months ago that he didn't know if he had to uphold the Constitution. And in preparation for today's show, I just wanted to go over a few of the things that people who are going to be out there on the streets peacefully protesting are upset about, starting with the basics, signing an executive order to do away with birthright citizenship, which is literally in the Constitution, sending troops into blue cities.
Oh, you mean anchor babies?
Unilaterally implementing tariffs, which Congress gets to do. I already talked about the 170 Americans who've been locked up. Cracking down on the First Amendment, detaining students for op-eds you don't like, targeting law firms, universities, reallocating funds appropriated by Congress to fund your big ICE force, firing inspectors generals that are looking into your friends like Elon Musk, making billions off of crypto scams, and your kids are running all over the world making deals. And the Trump administration has defied 1 in 3 judges that have ruled against him. And you're seeing that from judges appointed up from Reagan up to Donald Trump that are saying absolutely not, you are breaking the law in taking some of these actions. All of that is what No King's Day is about.
The reality is that Trump's words and actions both before and after the protest put on full display why the protest was so necessary. And by the way, it was successful. I know that there are a lot of cynics out there, and online especially, who are suggesting that the protest accomplished nothing and was merely performative. But do not delude yourself for a second into thinking that Trump and his White House are not susceptible to popular pressure. Remember, Trump derives his power from the optics of total control. But once that bubble is pierced, like, say, by 7 million people taking to the streets, Trump doesn't seem all that powerful afterwards. Trump also views his mandate as the result of popular support, and his fellow Republicans in Congress view their strength relative to Trump in light of that popular support. But when that popular support wanes, then not only does Trump's own mandate diminish, but the incentive for his Republican colleagues to blindly support him does so too. If you think every member of Congress whose lips are normally attached to the ass of Donald Trump is not watching 7 million people flood the streets, then you are deluding yourselves. So come Monday, all of these Republican cowards are going to pretend they didn't see Donald Trump's stupid AI videos, but know that they did. And also know that the decision here is either align yourself with the guy who spent his weekend literally shitposting, or align yourself with the biggest mass uprising against the sitting president in the history of this country. That's not to say that these Republicans are going to crawl out of Trump's colon, but their eagerness to wedge themselves up there is certainly going to dissipate. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.
For more on the week's political headlines, we turn